Alright, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I am back, and today it is time for another Starcraft 2 Pro Replay cast. We have got two very good players based in Europe today, and honestly I'm excited to cast this one because we get a lot of Korean PvZ, and that seems to be the focus on a lot of the games. However, I'm excited to watch a European PvZ, as European players have a lot of distinct style, and I don't think we could have two better players, really. In the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have Clash Reynor. The young Italian Zerg probably needs no introduction if you've followed SC2 as of late. And then his opponent, a little bit lesser known, it's GunGFuBanDa, playing for Team Cascade, the German Protoss player. GunGFuBanDa is a bit of an interesting case for those of you unfamiliar with him. He was quite good, up and coming in a sense, in around, say, 2015, I believe. 2015, 2016 is when he showed his best results. And he never really had super good results or anything like that, but he showed good promise. He was a consistent player. And then he kind of just fell off the map for a while. Didn't really seem to be super serious about playing. Even just stopped playing altogether, I think, for a time. And now he's back, and he just worked his way really far up the ladder, breaking, I think he's over 7k, 6.9k, 7k MMR on the server. Don't quote me 100% on that. But yeah, GunGFuBanDa is a really good Protoss player, according to some of the people out there. And so I'm excited to watch one of his games, check out what's really making him rise up again, and whether he can take on a player as good as Reynor. As taking on Reynor is definitely no small achievement. Reynor's not necessarily bulletproof as a Zerg, but he's up there as far as overall skill goes. Now we have got an Adept on the way for GunGFuBanDa. Just chrono boosting that out, getting the Stargate on the way. Then the probe for GunGFuBanDa is going to be heading on home. Shouldn't be able to block the third base, I don't think. Yeah, no, just has to head on home. Reynor's Lings are out. And the game is starting to really open on up here with that Stargate on the way, with the third hatchery on the way. We know the tech choice that's going to be coming out for Reynor, or for GunGFuBanDa, pardon me. And oh, interestingly enough, we see Pneumatized Carapace on the way. Forgive me, just had to clear my throat there for a second. Adept, gonna shade into the main base for Reynor. However, just checking everything's normal, making sure that there's no sneaky roaches or whatever. The second Adept for GunGFuBanDa is gonna shade on up to the front to join her sister. And now there's two Adepts for GunGFuBanDa, looking just to scout out, keep pressure on Reynor a little bit. All the while, Reynor is getting that Pneumatized Carapace, which I mentioned before. It's going to scout out the Protoss's base. There is a Phoenix which will kill off the Overlord, but it'll take a long time to do that. And the Overlord will see essentially everything. And now, this is something that I was talking about that was interesting, because the Pneumatized Carapace Overlords seem to be less common than they used to be. So seeing Reynor go for it is kind of interesting. How really common is Pneumatized Carapace? I feel like it's been a long time since I've seen it in a ZvT or a TvZ, but in a PvZ I think it's a little bit more common because Protoss tends to hide tech more than the other races. But yeah, it's quite interesting to see that Reynor went for that, just wanting to know what GunGFuBanDa is up to. He's now just going to be getting up his Spore Crawlers. Gonna have to respond to these three Adepts, which are shading towards its natural, but look at that. Really great play from Reynor. One of the drones turns into a Spore, the other one simply just runs away. The Phoenix and Oracle are coming on in. The Adept shading around, picking off Larva, but so far, Reynor has had a pretty rock-solid defense. Keeping that rock-solid defense is gonna get tougher the longer this game goes on as we take a look. GunGFuBanDa gonna be throwing up a couple gateways, going to be getting up resonating glaives, so he's going to be going for an Adept timing attack, most likely against Reynor. All the while, the Oracle trying to get a bit of damage done, but no, Reynor's just doing a really good job defending. Has a bunch of Lings running towards the third base of GunGFuBanDa. He could catch these. That would be huge. I think he'll cancel that base. Absolutely. Fortunately for GunGFuBanDa, he warped in more Adepts, so he's able to keep those 3 Adepts alive. If it was just those 3 Adepts, they'd be in trouble. However, he hasn't been able to secure up that third base yet, so he's warping in more and more Adepts. Really, he's quite committed to this Adept play. And then, if we take a look, Reynor already making roaches. He threw up the Roach Warren the second that he spotted Chrono Boost on the Twilight Council. He might not have been familiar with whether it was, say, Zealots or Adepts or Stalkers, but a Protoss Chrono Boosting into a Twilight that quickly, that makes you a little bit nervous if you're a Zerg player. All these Adepts are going to be moving in for GunGFuBanDa. Reynor, though, he's got Roaches out. Roaches on the way. He's got Lings out on the map. However, did he undercommit to defending this right now? Because we see there's only 4 Roaches out for Reynor. So yes, while he was building Roaches, did he really build enough? He just lost 4 drones. The Adepts putting out a lot of damage, just staying at the third base, as a matter of fact. Gonna just be targeting down more drones. 8 drones in all. While this is going on, Reynor had a counterattack at the third base, but that gets deflected. Adept's going to be shading. They want to cancel that shade as they retreat from the third base of Reynor. If we take a look, though, these Adepts are actually just going to try and kill a Queen, try and get every little thing they can. Adepts in mass with Resonating Glaives do put out a bit of damage. However, if we do count everything up, Reynor did seem to have a pretty solid hold against that. He's got a very saturated third base still. It's not like that was super disrupted. His natural saturated. And yeah, GunGFuBanDa just got up his third base now. So I think Reynor's in quite a good spot. Not a great one, not a terrible one. However, the Zerg player holding off the Protoss attack has got to be feeling pretty comfortable. +1 is on the way for GunGFuBanDa. That Immortal production is starting, and a lot more gateways getting thrown up too. Blink is on the way. We'll see if Charge is going to be next on the ticket. For now, though, GunGFuBanDa just to sit back and macro up. Maybe he can try to go for some light harassment. However, he doesn't want to commit too much to anything. And so we're seeing him just send a few Adepts out onto the map. If these Adepts can get at the natural, they can actually deal a lot of damage to Reynor. GunGFuBanDa, as this has been going on, is trying to keep tabs on Reynor, trying to see if his Oracle can get anything. The main question is, does he spot this Nidus network? Those Adepts shade past it, but did he really spot it? Those Adepts now at the natural. Oh no, they aren't being microed. This is actually very unfortunate for GunGFuBanDa. Could have got a few extra drones if he had microed those. Instead, he gets like 3 for the 2 Adepts. While the Oracle also got a couple, I believe. But if he had microed those right out the gate, that would have been maybe like 3, maybe like a extra 2 dead drones or something. Little things here and there, but when you're playing against one of the world's best Zergs, you need to be doing all the little things here and there. While this is going on, GunGFuBanDa planning on going for an attack to catch Reynor off guard. So far, he catches 4 Roaches for 3 Force Fields. That's a pretty good trade. A Stasis Ward even getting thrown down, a bunch more Blink Stalkers warped in. This is kind of just like a Stalker Sentry 1 Immortal attack from GunGFuBanDa. I wouldn't say it's quite an all-in, but this is an attack he hopes to get damage done. At the very least, getting the 4th base should be a possibility. Reynor is just going to keep getting force fielded out. I didn't even have a chance to mention that Reynor was going into Swarmhost Nidus. I mentioned the Nidus Worm. But GunGFuBanDa is just making the attack happen way before Reynor was ready to begin that Nidus Swarmhost harassment. And so, by extension, GunGFuBanDa is keeping himself safe by being aggressive with these Stalkers. He's got a very good number of Stalkers, and he's quite a good Protoss at microing these. He's going to have to pull back with them, though, to avoid trading inefficiently against the free Locust for the Zerg. GunGFuBanDa retreating to his Stasis Ward. That gets off. Doesn't catch too many units, and he may just have to go home. We'll see. I still think that this went pretty well for GunGFuBanDa. Oh my gosh, who, by the way, just blinks right on top of the Zerg army. A madman, feeling confident enough that there wasn't enough to buffer for the Zerg. Crazy trade. I think it works out for him, though. And instead, he's just going to warp in more Stalkers. I was expecting maybe a transition. No, GunGFuBanDa just says, give me those Blink Stalkers for days. He's knocked the Zerg down to 3 bases. Reynor has to start up his 4th, but GunGFuBanDa's 4th is ahead of Reynor's, which is really good for the Protoss when everything's tallied up. A Zerg does not want to have less bases than a Protoss. GunGFuBanDa also has his Warp Prism in the main base of Reynor, maybe can harass a little bit. The concern for GunGFuBanDa, however, is that he needs to make sure he doesn't take too much damage from this Nidus Swarm Host. And there's going to be at least one wave getting off right now. Just enough Locust to really pose a threat to the probes at this mineral line, potentially even to the Nexus. We'll see. The probes have to run. Adepts and the Colossus going to try and shut that down. All the while, GunGFuBanDa out on the map, still poking. This is one of the things about this Protoss player, is that he is able to just keep pressure on with Blink Stalkers to make scrappy games. And by doing so, he's keeping one of the world's best Zergs on the ropes a little bit. Reynor is not comfortable at all right now. He's basically just on 3 bases. His 4th is gonna be getting reestablished soon, but still not comfortable at all for Reynor. Look at that. Oh, the Observer actually gets hit by the Crucible. That's a little bit painful. A great shot from Reynor. Nidus Swarm gonna be unloading more Swarm Hosts though. Reynor only has 7, pardon me. Enough though to deal a lot of damage. All it takes is a few Swarm Hosts to deal a critical amount of damage. Looks like these pylons, the gateways, or the Nexus could be vulnerable. I'm not sure if this is enough to actually kill the Nexus. I imagine Reynor has it mathed out though, and it looks like he will indeed get the main base Nexus. Look at that, just as those Locusts expire. So perfect timing. And today I learned 7 Locusts is how many it takes apparently, with +1 missile attack to pick off a Nexus. 7 Swarm Hosts, pardon me. GunGFuBanDa gonna be pulling back. There's a chance he could snipe the Nidus. Never mind, those Swarm Hosts just pop right in there. Lightning speed. Charges on the way for GunGFuBanDa. +3 attack is on the way for GunGFuBanDa. I mean, he was doing a very good job when he was keeping the pressure on Reynor. He's got himself a very good economy still with his 5th base getting up. But the actual unit composition is not looking that good for GunGFuBanDa. He's got a few Colossus in his army. However, he's up against Lurkers. He's up against Swarm Host Nidus. Even Infestors in the mix for Reynor. This is a little bit concerning if you are the Protoss player, because you know your Stalkers, if they take one bad fight, will just melt against Lurkers. Melt against Corrosive Biles and Hydras too, so you gotta be very careful if you're GunGFuBanDa. Despite that though, he's gonna keep pushing on in. He's gonna be trying to break Reynor's 3rd/4th base. There's an Observer, so these Lurkers actually can be picked off. The Lurkers got a lot of damage done to GunGFuBanDa's army. However, Reynor might not even have enough to hold on if we're taking a close look at it. The Swarm Hosts aren't really gonna help defend. They're getting some offense done, yes, but of course, it's always that conundrum. Are you getting enough damage done to your opponent to justify not defending at home? All the while, GunGFuBanDa gonna be warping into 6 High Templar. These High Templar will morph into cotton balls, and we see GunGFuBanDa looks like he's just gonna kill off Reynor's 4th base, and I don't think there's a lot Reynor can do for it. Reynor's getting his own counter harassment done, but he's a Zerg who's only on 3 bases, whereas GunGFuBanDa, he could afford to lose a Nexus or 2. He's already rebuilding his 4th, but he's got a 5th base still mining, so his economy is far superior to that of Reynor's. And I'm honestly not sure what Reynor can do at this point to come back in the game. I think it's just got to be hope that GunGFuBanDa overcommits to a big attack or something. Take a look at this. That 5th base just about reestablished for GunGFuBanDa. It's going to be a 5-base Protoss to a Zerg who can't even get up a 4th base. We're seeing Burrow go up for Reynor. I'm not really sure what that's going to help him with, seeing as how Lurkers have Burrow by default. But there we go. Seismic Spine's on the way. Increasing the Lurker range by +2 is significant, particularly when you're against an army with Colossus. We see the Nidus Swarm Host still getting damage done, however. Oh, these Swarm Hosts are trapped out here. That's no good. Reynor needed these units to be as efficient as possible, but they are not going to do that. As I said before, GunGFuBanDa could overcommit, but look at that. Very wisely, not going to commit into the Zerg. He knows Reynor is pinned on just 3 bases, and if he keeps that up, he will eventually win out the game, essentially no matter how inefficiently he trades. As being on 3 bases at 14 minutes into the game is not something that you can really sustain for long. +3 attack is even done for GunGFuBanDa. We see he's getting up a fleet beacon. Probably going to be aiming for a mothership if I had to guess, as Reynor really doesn't have that much that's anti-mothership. He's got Lurkers, he's got Ravagers, and the odd Hydra, but yeah, nothing that would really help out or nothing that Reynor really has would actually counter a mothership. So I think that's a brilliant decision by GunGFuBanDa this game. And we may just be watching the slow death of Reynor, and we see that that fleet beacon is done. That fleet bacon is done. There's still no mothership for GunGFuBanDa. Where is it, GungFu? Show it to us. He actually doesn't have the supply space for it just yet. But we'll see if he's going to go for that later. Reynor almost mined out at his third base, just hanging on with his lurkers. I mean, he's got queens and lurkers. He can transfuse them for days, seeing as how much energy these queens have. But GungFuBanDa just using his units to great effect. Using the Colossus to poke and prod the Zerg. It's a bit of an odd dynamic, Colossus against the lurkers, Colossus against spores. As the Colossus deals so little damage to spores, or to, say, lurkers or queens, that you have to micro them for a long time, so it's not necessarily worth it for the Protoss, but at the same time it's uncomfortable for the Zerg. And right now we see GungFuBanDa just blinks on top of the few lurkers, Reynor had defending his third, and a duck goes down. It doesn't really matter, though, I feel. GungFuBanDa, he loses the Colossus, yes, but he kills a couple of lurkers. He denies Reynor's mining. Reynor is just so broke at this point. Way oversaturated at his economy. We see Ling's trying to counterattack for Reynor, but he'd have to get so much damage done to slow down GungFuBanDa's economy to counteract this. And he simply doesn't have the tools to do that, it would seem. Maybe he can sneak a lurker out on the map or something. But GungFuBanDa, he's been getting up photon cannons, and oh, there we go. A mothership on the way for GungFu. So he's going to be able to just have that crown jewel on top of the Protoss army. And right now we are seeing Reynor. He's just starting to get a little bit worried. He probably knows how dead he just about is, so he's going to be going for one last hurrah, I bet. He's stepping through a choke point with his lurkers. He's got Ravagers so he can cross the ball, but oh, a feedback even hits one of the Vipers, so no Blinding Cloud, nothing like that. GungFuBanDa is under high pressure from these lurkers since he still doesn't really have a valid lurker counter, except for the fact that he's got a carrier in the sky, but there's only 3 Hydras for Reynor to attack this. So Reynor just has to make as many Hydras as he can. The lurkers can maybe inch forward. As for Reynor, it's pretty much do or die. A couple of DTs counterattacking. There's almost nothing to counter these units. And yeah, Reynor's just all in with this attack, but I don't think it's going to cut it. He pulls back a few Ravagers and Hydras, but no, there's no Overseer with him. The DTs could actually kill those units. And right now we see Reynor deciding he's going to try and retreat, but GungFuBanDa is going to close the gap on his lurkers. There's an observer in the skies, there's a mothership, and the lurkers will just melt. And I think that's going to be GungFuBanDa taking out Reynor. Very well played by the German Protoss player, showing us his prowess in the matchup. I mean, I wouldn't say there's anything that GungFu necessarily did to completely just own Reynor. He just was constantly aggressive, making the Zerg uncomfortable, and it seems that there's just some Starcraft players that have a magic to create so much room in the game for themselves because they're so aggressive, and GungFuBanDa really is one of those Protoss players. I think I enjoy seeing every single one of his games. He doesn't tend to have boring games. And so, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button, join the channel, subscribe if you haven't already, and then, of course, check out the Discord, but I'll see you next time. This has been LaughNgamez.